the money will come. And that brings me to a really good point. I think a lot of people chase the money. They're all about the money. I've been at this 19 years. I did a calculation next year that my earnings is going to be somewhere between 3.5 to 4.1 million net. And, 19 years later, that feels good to say that. I've been at this 19 years. A lot of people listening to this might say, how long have you really been doing what you're doing? And a lot of people are probably going to be like 4 months. That's great. Keep going. A lot of people are going to be like 4 years. That's great. Keep going. Some people are going to say 9 years. And guess what? You haven't got through that time frame when things are going to really start getting good in your life. In my opinion, doesn't mean I speak the gospel. It takes 15 years to really start seeing good things start happening. So I'm in year 19 and I'm okay saying that because I've eaten enough shit sandwiches, like I like to tell people. But back to this whole thing of courage over cash.
This is my 15th year, so it's happening.
JD, yes, it's happening right now.
I mean, 15. Are you saying of your career, or when you started your business, or
I would say of your career.
How do you define that?
Of your career.
Okay, so yeah, I started working in 2005. Yeah. So.
And how's this year looking with everything we got shaping up right now?
It's amazing. I mean, earlier in the year, I'm not going to lie. I mean, it's a little freaked out, to be honest with you.
Well, yeah, there's a global pandemic too.
Right. Yeah, I mean, but anyway, sorry, I interrupted you a little bit there. But yeah, it's interesting that you say 15 years, and this is my 15th year. That provides me with even more courage.
Oh man, if I saved one person's career on that comment, then this time was worth it, because
totally.
I'll tell you, I was selling a lot of life insurance back in 2013, and I tell a story often. My gross revenues were about 180 grand a year, roughly, back in 2013, and my net income was like $80,000. And I had this guy tell me on the phone that he wanted to cancel his life insurance policy. Well, any life insurance professional knows that that's part of the business. But I'd already talked to him about the cancellation. And he admitted with me that he needed to save more money. And it was we're talking like a $200 a month plan that was like a disciplined savings plan for him. He called me back a third time and said, hey, I've talked to my dad. He doesn't think this is a good plan. And I'm like, I just felt so disrespected that you just don't value what I'm telling you. I'm like, I'm going to, he didn't know this. I hung up the phone. But after that call, I was like, this is stupid. What am I doing out here? I'm not selling this guy a life insurance policy to generate a commission. I'm selling this guy a life insurance policy so he'll have a better life in the future and maybe have some money so that, this guy I'm specifically talking about had a lot of student loan debt. Well, if he would have just stuck to the program, he had enough money saved aside to send his daughter or son someday to college and not have to take out a student loan, and his son or daughter could live a better life than he lived. And I'm just I'm sick of this. I'm done. I'm going to teach 5th grade public school. I'm going to be a science teacher or a math teacher. And that noise in my head was like, dun, dun, dun. I'm out of here. Fuck it. So I walked downstairs to go get a salad, and I called my dad. And I called up my dad, and I'm like, Dad, I'm 13 years into the game. I'm done. I'm getting some lunch here today. I'm going to quit. He's started laughing at me on the phone. He's like, you're not going to quit. I'm like, how do you know? He's like, 'cause I know you. I'm like, well, I feel like I want to quit. He's like, well, why don't you think about it? And you decide to quit, I'll support you. I don't think you're going to quit though. I go, you're probably right. But I tell you what, Dad, I'm going to give this another 24 months, all I got in the tank. If I still feel this way 24 months from today, I'm out. I want to get married someday. I want to live a life. I want to have some children. I want to have a family. maybe it's not meant for me to be rich. I'm okay with that. 15 years doesn't work for me. I can hang my head high. He's like, I like that. Go have a good day. So that's that. So funny enough, true story. I walk into this meeting with this guy who sells health insurance in the Twin Cities of Minnesota. And JD Frost and I own a insurance company called Croft Insurance Group, and we sell health insurance. And JD, I think our monthly check now is up, getting close to $1,000 a month now. I mean, nothing better than zero, right?
Hey, we started at zero, so that's not too bad.
We started at zero, exactly. So, but I asked this guy who's in the group health insurance business, I was like, all these questions. He was really trying to promote his business. I didn't really feel that much out of the meeting. And one of my strengths in Strengths Finders 2.0 is I'm a maximizer. So I like to maximize situations, right? So I come out and he's kind of watching me, and he wants to show off because there's a pretty nice Corvette in the parking lot, and the guy walks over to the Corvette, and I walk over to the 2003 Acura TL. I always like to tell people, add the detail that the door handle on the inside, where you put your arm when you want to roll down the window, that won't even stay attached to the door. The glue was off.
Yeah.
And so he was kind of watching me where I was walking, and I was kind of watching him where he walked, and I unlocked my car, and I saw him go to the Corvette in the parking lot. And I kind of took a deep breath, and I went, don't lose this opportunity. So he rolled down the windows, and I think he dropped the top on his Corvette convertible. And as he saw that I was approaching him, he stepped on the gas, like, vroom, 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 vroom. And I was like, okay, that's a little over the top. But anyway, I still approached. So I approached the car, and I said, his first name was Greg. I go, hey, Greg, when did it get really good for you? He's like, what do you mean? I go, when? Because this guy had been in business for probably like 40 years, at least 35 years. I go, when did it get really good for you? He's like, well, what do you mean? Like when you never had to worry about money. He's like, well, that's impossible. You're always going to have to worry about money. I go, you mean like when things started turning a corner, when I started, like, things were okay financially and I didn't have to worry about things as much? Like, exactly. He's like, without hesitation, he goes, 15 years. In the 15th year, that's when things got really good for me. I'm like, thank you. Yeah. And I walked back to my piece of shit car and drove away, stayed in the game.